All right, so it says it's now streaming. Hopefully I'm live again. So I apologize. I guess it was a technical issue. I don't know. So I am back on for the question and answers. And hopefully it is live again. Um, Let me know if I am back on so that I can answer your questions. So I'm going to go back to the old one and see if I can answer the questions. I see people hopping on. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP. We just had our live tip of the week on Monday. We talked about the 3 things and the 3 core things that you want to focus on in your IEP. So go back and watch the replay if it's there. We had some technical issues, so I'm back on answering questions. All right. So I'm going to go back to y'all's questions, okay? Okay. So Heather says, okay, so there's a lot of questions I didn't see. Goodness gracious. Okay. So Heather says, I'm going to go back to the one I was answering. Goodness, there's a lot of questions I didn't see, guys. I am so sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay. So one of the things I was saying is in reference to, because I was talking about Sarita and her going into an IEP, and she asked for OT, but had nothing to back it up. The school system actually asked her, well, why do you need it? So if I'm saying this correctly, Sarita, correct me if I'm wrong of how I interpreted it. Just make sure, guys, that you don't always think that you need somebody with you, because you don't. You can become the CEO and you don't need someone holding your hand or supporting you, because honestly, this is private information. It can be your best friend, it could be anybody, but what is it that they know truly? And your spouse is obviously fine, but you want to be in there all advocating and knowing your stuff. And a lot of times, believe it or not, one spouse knows more than the other. Not always, but a lot of times, and that can be a little bit frustrating. But typically there's always one advocator, one go-getter who is hell-bent on getting this done, whether they know how to get it done or not. That's their mission. Okay. So that being your mission, just know your stuff. Commit this year to 2020, post below 2020. Okay. That you're going to, you don't need to say all this, but just put 2020 below, post that below right now. I want you to invest in yourself. I want you to invest in knowing more, becoming more knowledgeable in this process, not by Google. Okay? Google is going to give you a whole hell of a lot of information that you just don't know how to implement. Now, some of you may, I never say all people or always or never, because it's never like that, right? So my thing is most from all the questions that I'm bombarded with that I accept and I want from all of you is how frustrated you are. That you've heard this, you've read that, you've read this, you've read that, you've gone to Google here, you've gone to Google there. There's tons of amazing actual parent resource pages, but they don't say this when you go into that meeting and you're intimidated, scared, nervous, anxiety driven, etc. They don't teach you that. They don't teach you how those emotions become serious issues and obstacles in that meeting. They affect everything you say. They affect everything you do. You leave that meeting thinking, oh crap, why didn't I say that? I had talked to myself. I had written it down. It was everything I wanted to say and I didn't say it. How many people have gone into an IEP meeting and left and said, what did I just do? Why did I not ask that question? I said that to myself 50 million times. Why did I not ask? It's something that's done all the time. All the time. I did it so many times I can't even tell you. And that's frustrating, but it's easy to fix. Easy to fix. Okay. So Sarita says, please put your website for me to go. Yes, no problem. I will do that. or Joy, if you're on, if you want to put the link to my website, since you're an oldie but goodie, go for it. I think she wants to go to the educational vault. Nancy, thank you for telling me about the loading issue. Anita, I appreciate you telling me I'm still alive. I appreciate that. Oh, wow, PG County. Awesome. I grew up in Montgomery County, Sarita. So that's awesome. Okay, address the extensive and comprehensive full evaluation, individual evaluation. Okay, has an IEP meeting today. What? It's nighttime. So do you mean tomorrow? Oh man, that's quick. Okay, so Anita Adkins, Northern Virginia. Yes, we have a planning session on Wednesday. I have to look at my calendar. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And yes, we're in the same place, so that's kind of cool. Heather, okay, so I totally did not see your question. So if you're on, great. If you come back, hopefully you see this. Can a child fail in subjects with having an IEP? That is such a good freaking question. And that's in my course. Okay, so I will touch on that again. And you know what? You can call it salesy, you can call it whatever you want, but I did work very hard on the course that's coming out in 5 weeks, but I don't care about that. I knew it was going to be work, but the reason for it to be, the reason for the whole purpose of the course that's coming out in 5 weeks, I encourage you to at least go get on the waiting list that's on my website. It's autismMamaRocksIEP.com. Click on the educational vault, get on the waiting list. Literally for only 3 days, I'm going to be giving the course away practically for free. Okay. So let me tell you about the course real quick, because this is such an amazing question that Heather asked. Can a child with an IEP fail? So here's what I want to tell you about the course. I don't care if you call it salesy or not. And I don't care that I worked my ass off on it. Okay. And I'm just going to say it bluntly and transparently. However, the whole purpose of it was nothing about me. It was solely about you. And the reason I do what I do, and I'm so freaking passionate about it, is because of what I've been through. And coming soon in the content, I am going to tell my whole story. Nobody knows my whole story. You guys have heard bits and pieces, but I am going to tell my whole story of why I do what I do, why I'm so emotional about it, why I'm so passionate about it, because it's all about you. And that is no lie. It is complete transparency. And I think those of you who have worked with me know that 100%. And the goal here is your child. Honestly, not you. The goal here is to educate you, make you more knowledgeable, and give you the confidence to where you individually, by yourself, are so knowledgeable and confident that you can go into that meeting and become the CEO. And my course literally walks you from the beginning. And I don't care if you have an IEP already. What I tell people who have an IEP already that's going through problems is you got to go back to the basics to start over, to then get where you want to be. That is with anything in life, okay? With the IEP, you cannot start here. You have to start at the beginning. And I'm going to tell you, I literally start you from where you're literally identifying, evaluating, diagnosing, and figuring out what's going on. I take you all the way to the end. We talk about everything. We talk about smart IEPs. We talk about implementing IEPs. I literally give you the verbiage and what to say in an IEP. I tell you how to walk into an IEP. I tell you what to say in an IEP. I tell you all the hiccups that come up in an IEP, because in almost 13 years, I've been through it all and I've heard it all. I mean, I've literally ripped up an IEP paper, IEP, in the director of special education's face, literally. I do not play in an IEP. I am a go-getter in an IEP, and I expect other parents to become that, at least in the IEP. If you have a passive personality, I teach you how to get rid of that personality in that meeting. You can go have that personality anywhere else, but I teach you how to become the CEO of that meeting. And what is a CEO? A CEO is confident. A key CEO knows their stuff. They're an expert in what they do. They are on top of things. They know how to respond to issues. They are problem solvers, which is what you have to become. They are experts in research and identifying hiccups in research or what they need to do to take that research and have it then be implemented in what their expertise is. Okay, that is what a CEO does. Okay, they're not just confident and make all the money. Okay, think about a CEO and how they carry themselves. Think about us. Look at Steve Jobs. He's such an amazing person, you know, and CEO. Just take him. Confident, ethical, respectful, knew his stuff, an inventor, a problem solver, a relationship expert. He knew what he was doing. He knew how to implement it, and he knew how to sell what he had because he was so informational, knowledgeable, and confident about his product. So you got to look at your situation and what is going on in your life with your IEP and think of yourself as a CEO. Because if you can take your product, your child, your situation, your hunt and gather of information, become the CEO of that meeting, be knowledgeable and confident to even know how to implement what you need, what's appropriate, what's acceptable, what is the most preferable way that your child is going to learn and what services, accommodations, and modifications are going to do that. Okay, so that's what it's all about. So go get on the waiting list. Literally 3 days, it's going to be half off. And I'm going to talk about this as I get closer to really putting the course out there. I'm finishing up the last minute touches now, but it literally leads you through the whole process. I even talk about private schools and the laws and regulations in regards to that. I talk about ESY and summer. I talk about everything you possibly need and want. And everything that I have in my educational vault is included in the IEP and the course. I include even more educational PDFs for you, journals and things for you to write things down. I provide you with a whole workbook of the things you need to do because guess what? I'm teaching you literally step by step from beginning to end. And guess what? Guess who has to do the work? You. Okay? So I teach you what to do, how to do it, and how to implement it. You then do the work with my support, of course. All right, so let's talk about what Heather said. Can a child fail in an IEP? And I know that I am supposed to have just done this for 15 minutes for the question and answer, but hey, we're here. These are good questions. I want to answer them for you. So Heather asked, can your child fail in an IEP? The answer to that is yes, they absolutely can. And the reason why they can is because if the IEP is not followed up on, I'm sitting here looking at Facebook. If the IEP is not followed up on and goals are not changed, evaluated, mastered, and this is also why it's so important to really hone in. Let me start over with this because this is so important for you guys to hear. Okay, I teach you guys to have quarterly IEPs. I talk about it all the time. I repeat myself in many of my lives, even though I have a different topic I'm talking about, because there's certain things that you just have to keep hearing to have it in your brain. And I understand that. I want you to understand that it doesn't take a lot for your child to fail in an IEP, believe it or not. And the reason I request you guys to do it quarterly versus yearly is you're taking those yearly goals, you're condensing them into quarterly increments, which are more attainable for you to focus on. And they're also what is really done in a year, just you're approaching it, You're going into a meeting and you're addressing it every quarter. So you're on top of the goals, you're able to test the goals, you're able to know what goals were either mastered or not progressing, or are progressing but not mastered. You need to know these things. And if you think about it, quarterly is like a quarterly progress report. Like when you get a report card, if your child has special needs and they're on a different type of testing and they don't get a report card, that's okay. You still need quarterly progress reports, if not more, for a child with special needs. So that's something to focus on as well. But the main reason for children to fail in an IEP, which is totally against the whole purpose of it, but it happens, is the goals aren't followed up on. That's the main reason. They can't necessarily fail because they don't have OT-PT speech, but they can, It's more common for them to fail due to goals, but it is something to be aware of, that if your child can't speak, that can hold them back even further and not progress, So all these things go into play. And so, yes, I'm sorry to answer that. But it was such an amazing question, because it's true, is your child absolutely can fail with an IEP. So be very aware of that, and know that's why I want to teach you in the right way. And there's a lot of things out there that give you a crap ton of information, like I said to you before. Believe me, I way surpass a PhD in Google. I did it with autism. I did it with the IEP process. And in my story, you're going to learn, which I'm going to tell you right now, real quick, a great big suitcase, that you travel with, a great big one, the big one. I had notebooks full of research in a suitcase, and took that and rolled it on in to my first IEP. Guess what it did for me? Not a damn thing. It taught me certain things, and you should have heard me in my first IEP. It was a joke. And I said things completely wrong because it's how I read it. And so I thought that's how you say it, and it's not. And I was quoting law like it was going out of style. You can't do that in the IEP, And I was doing that. I was doing everything wrong, And it just goes to show that we can read and read and read and read and get really smart. But that doesn't teach us how to do it. Okay. So we have to learn that part. That is more important than some of the things that we read. Knowing what to do is sometimes more important than the how or the reason that is given. Okay. And yes, I teach you based off law and idea, but I want you to know it, but I don't expect you to memorize it. All right. I've had 13 years experience with this, and I haven't memorized it all, but I know it so well that what is the focus, I know how to implement it. Okay. So I'm going to hop off here, guys. I've talked enough for this supposedly 10-minute tip of the week. But these questions have been amazing. I totally appreciate them. So Sarita, Heather, and Heather, you said, I had a meeting with my son's teacher recently, and I asked her how can he be failing when he has an IEP strictly for math? And she replied, it happens. She's right. It does happen. But what did they do wrong? What is it that they did wrong that he is not doing well in math? Okay, they failed him, and that's not okay. That's actually not legal. Okay, so you need to find out why he is failing in math after that's in his IEP, for him to get better educated in math and more support. I'm sure that's what's in his IEP. And the fact that she replied, oh, it happens. Are you kidding me? That's failing the child. That's possibly an unqualified teacher educating him. That's so wrong on so many levels. Okay. That's so many complaints. I could probably give you 5 of them right there. Okay. That's how bad that is. Literally. They can't do that. And they sure as heck can't respond like that. Oh, sorry, your child's failing. He has an IEP, but oh well, sorry. Absolutely not. I would have lost my ever-loving mind. And she would have never wanted to see me again. And I encourage you to take the steps you need to take to address that immediately. If you want to set up a 15-minute discovery call with me, it's free. Set it up. Okay. But you have got to get on that. Okay. I think I've gone through most of these questions, guys. All right. So I'm going to hop over to my current live. Okay. And I don't even think, all right, there's 10 of you on here, or more than that actually, but 10 current. Okay. Hundreds is on here. Sorry. Okay. So Candace says, just at a meeting for assisted technology. Okay. We were talking about that tonight. And those of you who've hopped on, there's another one that went live, but it had some technical issues. So we hopped on over to this one. So definitely go listen to the 3 core things you have to have for an IEP. And the things you have to focus on. The other day I said, we're here until, because special ed director kept saying we only have a certain amount of time. I said, no, we're still, she gaslit my hiney. Okay. There is no time limit on an IEP unless that's put in writing ahead of time. Okay. I think I told you guys last Thursday in my content, because that was my IEP meeting, that it lasted 6 hours. 6. Yes, 6. Started at 1 and I got home, and I'm only 15 minutes away, at 7. Yeah, it was awesome. But there was a lot of things we had to cover. So yeah, my IEP was 6 hours long. You go into that meeting and you solve issues. That's what I'm telling you guys. I'm going to tell you again and again. Okay. When you go in and you fight for your kids, you're going in there and the whole goal is to resolve a problem. The problem is your child's not getting a service that they need that's appropriate for them. You have to then prove and persuade why they need that service, accommodation, or modification. Okay, I'm going to talk about this till I'm blue in the face. I'm going to teach you guys this if it's the last thing I do, because I have been wanting to do this with you, going live, being out there more with what I do for the longest time. I was scared. Can you believe it? I was scared. And now I'm doing it and I love it. I've been doing it for a long time, but I just didn't go live and do it that way. And the reason I didn't is because I was scared, but now I'm doing it. I'm going for it, and it is what it is. And I'm educating, and I've had a lot of success, and I have amazing success stories, which is awesome. But I really want to really get it into any parent's head that has an IEP, that there's so many things that you have to become to get what's needed, appropriate, and deserved in the IEP. And you becoming not just the CEO that we were just talking about, but you becoming a lawyer, you becoming the best advocate for your child you possibly can, to where you are so proud of yourself. And, you want to become that person that what your child wants, needs, and what's appropriate for them. And you can then go in and accomplish that, and know that you go in there to accomplish it. Not always do you resolve everything. And that's the main thing that you become, is you become a very good persuader. And that's part of the law part, the lawyer. You have to hunt and gather the information. You take that information, you put it together, create your case, create your plan of action. Then you have to go implement that plan of action, which includes persuasion of why you want what you want and the reason behind what you want, and how not getting what you want is going to affect this child this way, and this way. And that's everything that you have to do. So you have to become all these people to accomplish one goal, which is to get your child what's needed, appropriate, and deserved. Okay? So, all right. Oh my gosh, y'all keep asking me questions and I don't want to not answer. All right. Okay, so I can't wait to hear your soul story. Thanks, Candace. It's a long story. I'm trying, I haven't told the whole thing because I cry every freaking time. So, because when you've gone through so much, think about it. If you've gone through so much and it's been such an emotional experience, you can't help but become emotional. So it's hard for me to tell my full story because I've been put through so much. And I know that's my sole purpose of doing what I do, going on lives for hour to 2 hours at a time, just teaching, and knowing parents are coming back to me and saying, hey, I just want you to know that I listened to your live finally, because she listened to it in like 15-minute increments while she was cooking dinner. Or she said, I listened to you live in my car ride to work this morning. I mean, it's so amazing hearing these stories. All right, so that's what she brought up is quarterly progress reports. Yes. Would it be good to have time when you do homeschool and how much time a week? I don't know how to answer that because I need more detail on that question, Jeff and Jesse Miller. Explain to me what you meant by that question. Faye Anna saw that first one when you started. I feel like the school-based team builds a defense for the meeting to get the kids out. I fight like a bull every IEP meeting until I have to go to the DOE. They have me hypertension since I realized my daughter needs specific help. Yeah, I totally get it. All right. Well, I got my lots of things cut out for me, right? Because you guys need educated and we're going to get you there. I promise. So I'm going to post where you can go to get onto my course waitlist. If you do anything this year in regards to the IEP, I can promise you it will be something you never regret. You will literally be so knowledgeable in not only how to do everything, you get so much. You get PDFs, you get printouts, you get a whole huge workbook. You get literally step by step from literally identifying your child in the very beginning all the way to the end. You get things on homeschooling. You get things on can your child fail in an IEP? You get things like private school. You get things like smart IEPs, how they break down, how you learn how to read an assessment and what bell curves mean. You learn everything you possibly need to know from beginning to end. I literally throw up on you. You hear me, you see me. I'm educating you. You see PowerPoints. You again get tons of paperwork and tons of freebies and all kinds of stuff. And for the first 3 days when I launch my course, I am basically giving it to you for free, half off, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. That's why I'm only doing it for 3 days. But all I encourage you to do is in 2020, invest in yourself, in becoming more knowledgeable and confident, and the CEO of your IEP. You won't regret it, I promise. And you also actually get me one-on-one with you that goes along with the course, and that's the freebie that goes into it for the first 3 days. So anyway, go to the website, get onto it, get your name on that waiting list so that you are part of the group that gets on live with me for this huge launch of this course. It's going to be crazy. I'm really excited about it. So I know many of you are too, and I know you wanted me to post below, so I will on both. So you guys have it. And so yeah, I've talked long enough, like I think almost an hour and a half on my Tip Monday that was only supposed to be 10 minutes. But hopefully you guys got a lot out of today, and I answered, I think, every question. And have a good night. Tomorrow, remember, is the question and answer. So I'm going to be doing it again over on the group. So typically a question and answer session like this is not on this page. And I won't be making it something I do all the time. It is kind of a special thing I do for my group. So head on over to Autism Mama Rocks the IEP group to get in on what I do specifically for my group, which is also going to be meeting via Zoom on a meeting chat room where we get together and chat amongst each other in person. So those are things that I'm going to be offering my group and not the page. So if you want to join the group, head on over. I will accept you as long as you answer the questions, and we will go from there. So good luck with the IEP tomorrow to Sarita. I think that's what you said. And if you feel that it's not going well, I highly suggest you table that meeting and let them know that you're requesting another meeting within 30 days and put an email in literally right then in your phone, and let them know that you're sorry for meeting, that you need to gather some more information, and you will be coming back to the table in 30 days, fully prepared. And don't let them know what, just say that. And don't be afraid to table the meeting. Don't be afraid to end that meeting right then and there. Don't be afraid to not go to the meeting and cancel the meeting so that you can be more prepared. There's nothing worse than going into an IEP meeting unprepared. There's nothing worse than going into an IEP meeting and wasting your time and theirs, which will piss them off, because you don't know what you're doing. And then they're going to then do it for you, and you're gonna just say, okay, or not know, and then things are gonna really blow up. So instead of all those types of things happening that are really a hit to our emotional well-being, honestly, I highly suggest you get as prepared as you possibly can, because you don't want to go in like she did and them ask you, well, why do you want OT, and you not be able to respond of why and the reason why, and the reason why you're requesting it is based off of what, and then be able to explain that, and it be an educated decision based off the impact of disability. You don't want to sound like you don't know what you're doing, and they know when you don't know what you're doing, and they fully take advantage of that. Or they'll tell you things that you will tend to believe that are not factual or not based off law. And they'll say things like, oh, well, this is our policy. Who cares what your policy is? And that's what I say, if it isn't based off law, I don't care what your policy is. Now, each state has different policies based off IDEA, which is special education. However, IDEA is typically the best, and school system have to then follow, and they're either equal to or better. Okay, so have a good night. I will see you guys tomorrow on the page, or no, I'm sorry, on the group. So go join the group for the live question and answer. And then Thursday will be the content. And if you have any ideas that you'd like me to talk about for the live content, which is Thursday right here on the page, post that below, and I will pick and choose whose content I'm gonna pick at that time, but I'll always go back and look at others and do that another time. After this Thursday, I have surgery on Friday on my thumb. I actually tore my collateral ulna ligament, whatever it's called, at 90%. So I am actually going to take Christmas week off, which all of you should too. Go and enjoy your family and loved ones. And we'll talk more about that on Thursday. But so Thursday will be my last live until December 30th. And then we'll start again officially on January 2nd. So this week is the last week to catch me in reference to everything IEP related. And I promise to deliver amazing content this Thursday. Again, if there's certain things you want to talk about, post it below so I know, and I will touch on it. And yeah, that's where we're at. So again, it's going to be quite a while other than this week. So hop on over to the question and answer on the group tomorrow, and make sure to catch me live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the page. Click that notification so you know when I go live. I tell people, take me in the bathroom with you, take me in the kitchen with you, take me in the living room with you, put your headphones on if someone's watching TV. Listen so that you can process the information. I don't care if you're cleaning the house while you're listening to me. If you have a child who has an IEP and you have goals and dreams for them and things that need to be implemented that aren't being implemented, listen, I promise, even if it's not in the beginning, but maybe in the middle, maybe at the end, it's going to be something that speaks directly to you. So with that said, make sure it's kind of like you get a book, an educational book, you read it, and sometimes you're like in the beginning, you're like, oh, I already knew this. But then by the middle and the end, you're like, oh, yes, that's what I needed to know, right? So just know that's how everything goes. So sometimes in the beginning, I'm addressing things, or sometimes in the middle, I'm addressing things, but I'm always giving good information, hopefully. And you guys are absorbing that and sponging that and really taking it to heart and maybe even writing notes. If you haven't gone to the group and you're not a member of the group, one thing that I did post in a doc there, because you can only post docs and files in your group, not on the page. I posted the live that you guys loved and raved about, where all the tons of questions you need to ask yourself before you even go into an IEP meeting. And it's a lot of questions. I want to say it was over 25. And if you don't ask yourself these questions, you will be doing not only yourself, but your child a disservice. I got really real with y'all that day. And I focused on that if you don't go back to the basics and you don't answer these questions, you're not going to be able to support and help your child the way you should, in the most appropriate way and the most effective way, because you didn't go answer those questions. Okay? Those are questions that you need. Go print the document file. Okay, literally print it, take a picture of it. I don't care, but you need to answer those questions. And I mean, sit your butt down in a chair and answer the questions. Literally answer the questions in full sentences. You have to do your homework, guys. You have to do the work. You can't just assume that because your mom and dad and sister and brother or whoever it is that is advocating for a child that you just know this stuff. I am just now confident enough to tell you almost 13 years later. Not that I didn't do it before, I did. But my child is growing and blossoming because I fought for her. And it was a lot of work. It was really hard. And when I tell you my story, I think you're going to be like, holy crap, because that's how in-depth it was. That's how horrible it was. And I don't want anybody else to go through that. I really don't. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. And so those who don't speak my language, who don't want to fight to the end and get their children what's needed and appropriate and the services and accommodations that they need, that's fine. Don't follow me. But if you do, I promise you will get there. I promise. Okay? You just have to stick with the process, okay? You have to stick with the process and you have to do the work, okay? You have to do the work. So I'm going to leave you with go to the group, join it, download or print out the doc and get off the group if you don't want to be on the group. But download that document of every question you need to ask yourself and answer in full so that you can be that one step ahead. If you answer those questions, you know a lot of things that your child needs and why. That's huge in an IEP, huge. That's your reason for why they need it. That's your case. That's your presentation. That's everything, is knowing the why. The why is the most important thing, the why. The why is important across the board in a lot of things in life. But knowing your why. Have you heard of that in business? Know your why. If you know your why and you can feel it in your gut, okay, then you're on the right path, okay? Because your vision is where it needs to be. Your why is what it needs to be and where it needs to be and how it needs to be, because you feel it in your gut. and you feel it within yourself that nothing is going to get in your way. You're on a mission. Okay. So I am officially going to get off. I am pushing 2 hours, guys. Okay. So what's the page called? It's Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. Okay. So you're on the page. You need to go to the group so that you can download that file. For your content post. Okay. You're asking about a reading specialist. So that's a good topic for content. So anybody else who has ideas, I will definitely do that. Nancy, because I don't know if you've been following me for long, but my biggest issue, why I was just in a 6-hour IEP on last Thursday, was because of reading. So I know all about that now. It wasn't a problem for years until just this past year. And so, yeah, so I can tell you exactly what you need to do and what you need to request and what type of reading specialist you need to have and all that kind of stuff. But I would definitely, if it's a serious issue that needs addressed right away, because reading and math are the two most important, set up a free discovery call with me and then we can go into it a little bit more in depth. But yeah, reading specialists, yeah, I can definitely go into that one. If anybody else has ideas of what they want me to talk about this last content live this Thursday before the holiday, I'm going to take some time off and I'll come back and do the tip of the week on the 30th of December, and then we'll do the content and start everything over January 2nd. So you're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad I am sharing some wisdom with you. And I hope I continue to do that. So I'm going to officially hop off now. So have a good night, guys, and I will see you tomorrow on the group for the live question and answer. I'll see you later. Bye.